Hey! Because I've always known, like, education is super important.
Heck yeah.
And I think, you know, whenever, like, you bring up, like, oh, like, I don't like school or something for, like, a different reason, like, maybe you're having issues with friends or whatever, you know, like, my parents at least were like, oh, well, you could be, like, somewhere else in the world where you don't get an education. And so, like, I'd already known about, like, this issue. I think after reading this book, it was really saturated for me because, you know, it's, like, after, while I was married, like, after her parents died, like, she didn't have access to education.
Yeah.
And, like, just that, like, unfairness of not being able to receive that. Because, you know, we live here and we get education, like, mandatory. Like, you have to go to school. And then just imagining being stripped of that and, like, wanting to be educated but being unable to would, like, destroy me, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it really kind of, like, reminded me of just how, like, how much of a privilege it is to, like, get free education.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, education for me has always been a really big part of my life. Yeah. Even my, like, religion, they say, like, you need to go to school, you need to go get a good education. So for me, education has been a really big part of my life, and just seeing, like, without education, even not formal education only, but, like, experiential education, like, if you don't live through stuff, then or even just learn from stuff that you're doing, then your life is just kind of, I feel like it's harder. Because you don't understand really, like, how to get through this. So, like, if something really bad happens to you, like, someone dies in your family, and you take it really, really hard the first time, but, you know, then someone else dies, and you're supposed to learn a little, I mean, it's still hard because it's death.
Right.
You're supposed to, like, learn a little bit more how to cope with it.
Yeah,
so you're not, because if you had this, like, mental breakdown, like, every time someone dies in your life, like you're gonna be
emotionally, like, devastated.
Oh, man, it's a long ride. Okay.
Alright, next. I mean, you gotta live. Like, because this isn't just formal education. Formal education is, like, give you better perspective on the world around you.
I think it teaches you
It does. It totally does. And it's, like, when you're talking earlier, I was reminded of, like, there was some... This was back when, like, science didn't have rules. Isolated, like, children. Like, they fed them, but it was, like, like, it wasn't... They didn't have any interaction, and, like, they died within, like, a few weeks. And they just, like... because of how they controlled the experiment, they determined that it was because they hadn't had social interaction. And, like, just talking and, like, seeing people is, like, education, because you can, like, subconsciously pick things up. It's like if you were walking and everyone you saw was, like, slouched over, you would start to, like, slouch over, because it's like, oh, like, this is just, like, what we do. Yeah, and it's, like, it's super crazy just, like, how, especially as, like, social beings, like, as a species, we need other people. Like, there are introverts, but, like...
But even then,
you still need people.
Like, I was just talking to my boyfriend about this.
Yeah.
And, like, he was saying, he talks with his hands a lot, so, like, he'll be and then you do this, and it goes together, and this happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, he does that when he's explaining stuff that he can't, like, put into words, or when he's, like, really passionate about something, he'll talk with his hands.
Yeah.
And he was saying how his mom and his grandma do it, and he was like, I bet it's, like, genetics or something. I was like, no, that's definitely behavioral.
Like, that's why we have eyebrows, too.
Anyway, what I was saying is, like, basically he's picked up these traits from his parents, like, and from his grandparents, like, it passes down, so you pick up stuff from the people you're around, which is why experiential education is so important. But just education in general, like, in order to survive, you need to be educated, at least in some way. Like, to survive, you need a basic education, but then, like, to survive at different levels, like, to thrive in society, you definitely need education.
And even at, like, a survival, like, animalistic, like, basic level, like, that's what, like, trial and error is that's education. Like, you're learning, which would be, like, experiential education, I guess. But, like, you know, you eat something and you throw up, like, you're not gonna eat it again. It's just that, so I guess at a higher level, like, formal education is supposed to do that for you, kind of, like,
it's supposed to be a trial.
It's supposed to, like, especially with history, it's like, oh, well, why do we learn history? It's like, that's you're learning about eating the berry, so you don't eat the berries. Yeah, so I guess to, like, summarize that thought, it's like, to learn about the world and, like, how you interact with it, I guess, like, at a formal level, because, like, with math and stuff, it's, you know, you need that for, like, problem solving. so that's important in your life later.
Is there a form of education that is more important than the others? Why not?
I honestly don't think so. I mean, I think
it depends on what level
like
you're
where
trying to
you
survive.
are. I think it's where you are. Yeah, Afghanistan versus here. Yeah, I think here. Well, I think it's actually really similar because we all in both Afghanistan and the United States, like, you will get social and experiential education. That's guaranteed.
Yeah,
because you're with people and you're experiencing things.
It depends on where you get more. Like here, we're definitely getting more formal.
But I think that's questionable. Like if you can, like which one is more important though?
It's definitely yeah.
Because
I mean, technically we're both surviving, and we're both people here, and they're technically surviving.
Yeah, I think the level of like importance
is the same.
Depends on if you're in an advanced civilization, which Afghanistan is, versus like a tribal thing. Because if you're in like a tribal situation, then you'd need more experiential and social. But if you're in an advanced society, you need to have, or just like advanced civilization, like society doesn't matter. Like you need to have formal education.
Yeah.
Because then that goes into like.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you read your quote for us?
That's a good idea. So, on page 114, this starts out as like narration and then goes into the like what he said to her. So, Bobby had made it clear to Layla from a young age that the most important thing in his life after her safety was her schooling. I know you're still young, but I want you to understand this and learn this now, he said. Marriage can wait. Education cannot. You are a very, very bright girl. Truly you are. You can be anything you want, Layla. I know this about you. And that really hit home for me with especially the point I was making earlier about how, like, once her parents are dead, Layla does not have access to formal education. Like, she can't go to university. She can't go to school. Like, she's married. And, like, because my parents tell me the same thing, too. Like, they're like, you can be whatever you want. Like, you can, like, I know you're ambitious enough. You can do this. And, like, seeing what happened to her after, you know, her father said that to her was, like, devastating to me. Because I know that Layla enjoyed her education as well. And having that just, like, ripped from her. I mean, I don't think she really thought about it that much. At least not that, like, we could tell in the book. But just because she was distracted by, like,
everything
Rashid and, like, all of the grief. And, like, oh, there's a war. Like, that'll
She's like,
do
oh,
it.
I'm having a baby, too.
Yeah. Right.
Yikes.
But I think that's definitely something that towards the end of the book where, you know, they have, like, she teaches the orphans and things like that, where there probably was that moment where she was like, I missed that. Like, she's still able to pursue her career and, like, make a difference, but,
it's different.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Okay, my quote, page 114, this is also Bobby speaking. And
we chose the same quote, but we did different parts because it worked out perfectly.
It worked out. And I also know that when this war is over, Afghanistan is going to need you as much as its men, maybe even more, because a society has no chance of success if its women are uneducated, Layla. No chance. So basically, I don't know, the way I see education, especially, this is really a personal thing, but, like, I want to go to college, I want to graduate college, and with a major, with something that could give me a good career if I chose.
Right.
But I want a family. Like,
right.
I want to get married, and so if it turns out that it's better for me to be, like, a stay-at-home mom, and stay at home with, like, all my kids or whatever.
All the little Mormon children.
All the little Mormon children running around.
Yeah.
And, like, my husband goes off to work, or, you know, like, I want to be able to have an education to fall back on.
Right.
So, you know, like, our church always talks about this. We're big on education.
That's good.
So we're like, we want everyone to be educated, go graduate high school, go to college, do all this stuff. So for me, it's really like, I want to go start a family. But, like, if for some reason there's, like, this freak accident where, like, my husband dies, or where, you know, just for some reason we needed extra money, like, I want to have a job or education that's going to get me a good job so that I can support my family. But also, so yeah, that's what I think Bobby is really saying to Layla. It's when you are needed, you need to make sure that you can give what you have.
Prepared.
You're prepared.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. And like what I saw from that was like you need to be able to like make your own decisions and not be like, oh well my husband thinks this, so I guess he's right.
Yeah, let's wrap this up real quick.
Yeah.
Education, I think, any kind is important. You need,
very important.
But you definitely need all three.
Yeah, you can't live without.
You can't.
And I think formal education can be flexible.
Like Mariam, she just got religious education.
Exactly,
but
and that
helped her.
Formal.
You can see her throughout the book where she uses it, where she's like, she always falls back on what's the Quran.
And that gives her like comfort.
It gives her comfort, exactly.
And it gives her like a threshold that she can push off of and be like, well, this is what I know from what I've been taught.
Yeah.
And like going back to what I was talking about with like the different forms of like civilization and how things are different. It's like even like, but there's still formal education in some way. Usually if you're dealing with like a group of people, because there's like usually
like for that, you know how they always have what's it called, like oral history?
Yeah,
where they pass down
like,
stories.
Yeah,
like you get educated
the storyteller.
through that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was gonna bring up. It's like I don't think it really counts as social education because social is just like what you've learned from like seeing other people. But yeah, like even basic like monkeys communicating with each other, like they can warn each other about something that happened.
Exactly.
And like understand that and then go forward with that. And like that's what I view as formal education is like monkeys talking to each other is formal education. Just like something that can allow you to make better decisions in the future. And I think like that's really important, especially in like a situation like what was going on in our book here.
Yeah. It was good. Thank you, Miss Lapine.
Thank you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.